Welcome to episode 3 of Beer in Review. This is a show where every week we try a new beer, give you our thoughts on it. I am James Manderson, and this over here is Trent Maviel. Trent, what's in store for us
Hello.
this week?
This week we are going to be trying out the Sierra Nevada Torpedo Extra IPA.
Extra IPA.
Yes, I have never had this one, and typically I'm not a huge fan of IPAs anyways, but let's see how this one tastes.
You said you've never had it. I've never had it either.
Nope.
So it'll be a new experience for both of us.
All right.
So Trent, open up the beer and let's give it our first thoughts.
Yep. I'm gonna pour it out into a nice glass.
I'm gonna pour it out. I'm just gonna drink it from the bottle.
Ooh.
Sierra Nevada, and this is kind of what it looks like for all you guys. Alright, so since you gotta wait a second to try it,
Oh, jeez.
on the top of the bottle it says here, Sierra Nevada Torpedo Ale is a big American IPA, perfectly balanced yet full of flavor and aromas that highlight the complex citrus, pine, and herbal character whole cone American hops, made from the purest ingredients.
Purist, huh?
Yep.
I will say I do like the color of it. It's
Yeah.
a nice little amber.
Nice golden amber color. Not too dark.
Nope.
It does look pretty good. Actually smells pretty good too. Wow, this actually smells like a good beer.
Well, it's funny is
expecting it to smell harsher than that for an IPA.
Yeah. One of the Sierra Nevada's other beers is actually second in the United States for most sales, behind Sam Adams Boston Lager.
And that's the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's a pale ale. But when it comes down to the craft beers, they're the second largest.
That's pretty cool. They're bigger than I thought they were. I see it around a lot, but I never realized it was as big a company as it is.
Yeah.
You about ready to try it?
All right.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Let's give it a shot.
Let's try it out.
I really like the smell. Yep, that's an IPA.
Yep.
Huh.
I will say I actually do like this one. It seems a lot smoother than some of the other IPAs that I've had. And it's actually very flavorful.
Yeah, that's actually my first impression too. The first drink of it actually is fairly smooth. And just like your IPA, how they always do, it hits you with that aftertaste once you're done drinking. It kind of sits on your tongue for a while. Some people really like that. That's always been the thing I hate the most about IPAs, is the fact that it sits with you for a while. But like I said, I'm kind of growing into liking that. This one, however, it hits you and sits there for a second really strong, and then kind of gets weaker. And it still sits there, it just weakens itself as it sits there for a while, which is kind of cool. It doesn't overpower you that way.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. It seems... Yeah, I would agree with the ratings that people give this beer.
I don't know if I'd rate it as high. I was looking at this other website, and it's rated a 93 and a 99. I'm not sure on what kind of scale that is exactly, but I would assume 100 scale. I don't think I'd rate it that high. Maybe in the 80s is what I'd shoot for. Not bad, though.
Nope.
Complex citrus, pine, and herbal. Definitely has a piney flavor. Smells citrusy, though.
Yep.
Doesn't smell piney. It doesn't.
It also says tropical fruit, but I don't really taste the tropical fruitiness of it on their website.
Oh, didn't say that on the bottle. Not bad, though.
Well, nope. But the Torpedo Extra IPA is around all year. so it's not a seasonal or anything that they just come out with on a non-regular basis. So
Mhm. I read
anybody
that
can really
this.
pick it up.
Yep, I read that this was the first IPA they had that was year round for this specific company, Sierra Nevada. It was their
Yeah.
first efforts in that. But the way they make it, the hop torpedo is what they call it. It requires so many hops that they actually usually, especially when they first came out with it in 2009, if I remember correctly, they were running out of hops, and their supply was much greater than their demand was, or their demand was much greater than their supply, actually. So that's kind of cool. That's a good sign of a good beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. It is pretty good, though. I mean, I'm a little surprised. I wasn't expecting that much from it. It's not my favorite IPA so far. Um, I've had better ones, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. I'd say as far as IPAs go, I do enjoy this one a lot more than a bunch of the other ones, but I still don't enjoy it enough to drink it on a regular basis just because I'm not a huge fan of the IPA anyways.
Something for you, Trent.
But
I was in the same boat as you before. IPAs were never my favorite. I always thought they were kind of harsh, and they sat with you too long and just made me not like. I didn't enjoy the fact that 5 minutes after drinking that beer, I could still taste that flavor of that.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's like a signature of a lot of IPAs. But since moving to where I am currently and having a quite a bit bigger craft beer scene here, I've had a lot more IPAs, and I noticed that I think the IPAs we were having were big name, mass produced IPAs that don't
Mm,
have as much thought into them, and the very craft IPAs that you can get out here have a lot more thought, and it's just not your make an IPA beer. It's put this in it, put this in it, it's more flavorful, more I don't know what to call it. I guess it's just got more to it, and they actually
yeah.
taste a lot better that way. And it's really been
Yeah.
growing on me. This IPA has really been growing on me since then. IPAs are usually
Nice.
quite a bit higher in alcohol content too.
Yeah.
Um, so they
Yeah.
hit
I
you a little
believe this
harder
one
too.
sits. Yeah. This one I believe sits around 7.2.
Oh, is it? I was just looking at the bottle to see if I could
Yeah.
see that. 7.2. That's respectable.
Mhm.
I think an IPA usually runs between 6.5-ish to 10. 10 is a pretty high range for an IPA. 6 something is a pretty low range. 7,
Yep.
7 what? What was it?
Point two. 7.2.
7.2. That'd be right about
Yeah.
mid range there. On the back of the bottle here, I was just reading, it says, at Sierra Nevada, we take hops seriously. Torpedo Extra IPA Ale starts with the world's finest whole cone hops and intensifies their flavors with a little magic from our hop tornado. That's the process I was talking about earlier. The
Yep.
Torpedo is a revolutionary method of dry hopping that brings this beer alive with a rush of complex hop aromas and flavors not found in any other beer. Um, it doesn't taste that much different than most IPAs, so I don't know about that exactly, but it does. It has a
Yeah.
unique taste. It has its own flavor, so it's kind of cool. So let's see if I
Yeah.
can see
I don't.
this. This
Yep.
beer. Go ahead, Trent.
I was gonna say the hops that they use, like after looking at stuff on their site, it's only three different hops, and I don't know if they disclose all their ingredients because they don't want people to try to recreate it on their own.
I think
But
there are.
the hops that they,
I was
oh,
gonna say. I think I know a guy that homebrews, and I know he homebrews the pale ale. I don't know if he's tried anything like
mm,
this. So there are ways to find the ingredients for the pale ale, at least. I don't know, maybe this one not yet, but
yeah,
if you look hard enough, you can find stuff like that.
yeah. But yeah, so the hops that they actually use in this one, according to their site, is Magnum, Crystal, and Citra, which Citra would explain a lot of their the citrus flavor that's in there.
That is if hops correlate that way, but it would make sense,
Yeah.
yes.
It would make sense.
Yeah. So the Torpedo, like I mentioned before, made in 2009 for the first time, and it was their first ever year-round IPA. It uses this revolutionary process called the hop torpedo, which is basically an intense hop bomb. This process made it so they lacked hops because it takes so many hops to use, and they, like I mentioned before, also they struggled with demand for a long time. I don't know what the demand's like now. I see this in the store quite often, so it must be doing okay now. But it sounds like it takes a lot of hops for this.
The brewing company was founded in 1979 by Ken Grossman and Paul Camusi, I think is how you pronounce it.
Close
Camusi.
enough. He won't be mad if we pronounced it wrong.
Yeah, sorry if I did. And originally they were just home brewing as a hobby, and they decided to take it full-fledged. So they started out in Chico, California, and then recently they actually expanded out to North Carolina. So they have 2 breweries inside of the United States at the moment.
Yeah, at the bottom of the bottle it says Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina. So
Yeah.
It's cool. One on each side of the country, that way they can expand everywhere.
Yep. It'd be like the railroads, starting at both ends, meeting in the middle.
Good analogy, Trent.
Yeah.
All right, so this far into the beer, what's your takes now? What are you thinking?
Well, the flavor's still, the typical IPA is still lingering in my mouth, even though I haven't really been drinking it too often. Like I take a sip, let it sit for a couple minutes, take another sip. So I think that's the biggest thing that I don't like, but that's just the type of beer it is. But when it comes to flavor and actually color, like I really enjoy the color of it. And the flavor is very full. So when it comes to that stuff, I enjoy this beer a lot. But just the idea of the IPA and the aftertaste, I'm not a big fan of.
I understand what you mean. My biggest thing always with IPAs was you drink the IPA and the first thing you get is the taste of the beer. And that was always good. It tastes better than most beers. It's got more flavor to it, it's heavier. It usually has a better taste initially. It's too harsh and just hangs with you too long and just sits sits on the back of your tongue kind of. And I've never been a big fan of that. But there's a lot of IPAs out here that are just better. They're not, even when they're harsh, the flavor that sits with you is better, and you can actually enjoy that and start liking IPAs. And then it kind of opens your horizons to more IPAs. Kind of bridge the gap, kind of, you know?
Yeah, nice.
Would you say so far that we're not real far into this beer yet, but would you say this is the best IPA you've had?
I would say that, yeah. Because the aftertaste of it isn't as harsh as the other ones that I've had in the past, and the flavor of it is a lot more enjoyable than the others also.
Yeah.
So I would say all around this is the best IPA that I've had to date.
That's good. That is cool. I wouldn't say it's my best, but I've had a few more than you. Like I said, the craft scene is big out here, and there's some really good craft IPAs out here. But if I had to imagine the bigger IPAs out there, this is better than most of the ones that I can think of for that. A really popular IPA is Total Domination. I can't remember who brews that, but Total Domination is the name of it. And I don't like that one. I like this a lot better than that one. So, I think that says something.
Why do you like this one over that one more?
This one, like kind of like you said, this one's flavor is just better overall. The flavor overall is better, and the aftertaste, like you were mentioning, it hits you and it hits you kind of harsh right away, but it instantly, like after the first taste of like you swallow the beer and the aftertaste is there. After that first second or two, it starts falling and it's not as bad and it trails off. Um, to me, Total Domination wasn't like that. It just hit you and sat there. And to me, Total Domination even tasted a little soapy. Uh, I
Mm.
kind of think IPAs have that problem too. Is sometimes they just taste soapy to me. That might just be a personal thing. I can even taste it a little bit in this, but it's not very bad, and it's not overpowering. The flavor overpowers that to me, so it's better in that respect. Trent,
All
you
right.
just poured your second glass. You did a little better this time, right? Why don't you show
I did.
everybody what it pours like? It looks pretty good.
Pours
It's
pretty much like that. I actually got the head all the way up to the top of the glass. It's come down a little bit
and that was
since I
the
poured it.
that was pretty much the full bottle, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
show us again real quick. So although it's come down a little bit, it actually has a pretty nice amber golden color to it, and a decent head
Yep.
on top of it. And also I just found their torpedo process. It is a pretty cool process, and I'm going to share that with everybody. Basically, they say that traditional dry hopping uses nylon sacks stuffed with hops and suspended in the tank of beer. So when you make a beer, you have it in a big tank, and you take a nylon sack and put the hops in that, and then put that into the beer, and then it
Yep.
sits in the beer and ferments, and it gets the flavors of the hops and etc. Um, they noticed that they removed the hop sacks themselves and just put the hops in there, and even after weeks of being suspended in the beer, they'd occasionally find that the center of the ball of hops was dry, meaning that the center of the hops never came in contact with the beer itself. So
Oh.
the beer was never actually getting the flavor from those hops. They thought there had to be a better way, and about 10 years ago they came up with the idea that they actually sketched in a bar. And what they did was they create the invention of the hop torpedo. It was a stainless steel device packed with whole cone hops and sealed against pressure. Fermenting beer is circulated through the fermenter, through the column of hops, and back into the fermentation tank. This circulation method is easily manipulated through time, temperature, and speed. They control the types of flavors and aromas they can extract from the hops with this, meaning all the hops at whatever time they want get in contact with the beer instead of having a ball of hops in the tank suspended in the beer that may or may not come in contact to it. They're getting the full use out of their hops this way, which is pretty cool. That's actually a pretty nice and unique technique. Grant Maville. Um, I finished my second beer. I started my third. You have just finished your second. You're kind of in the position
Yep.
where you're not going to try much more. Could you tell us why?
Um. Again, it's just like the IPA style. This one is actually sitting pretty heavy with me, sticking with me for quite a while. The flavor or the taste in my mouth has been gone for a little bit, but I can only do two, maybe three if I was wanting to drink these. But it's just the flavor of it is delicious, but the aftertaste is lingering, and I don't enjoy that.
All right.
But
I understand that completely. I was drinking the first one. I was in a similar situation where I was drinking it and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get to three. I cannot drink a third of this. And then
yeah,
we kind of started talking off off screen while we drank our second one, kind of comparing it and whatnot. And as I was drinking my second one, it started to just completely disappear. And I
mhm,
still in my stomach, I can feel that I've drank a couple and it's a little heavy. And I don't know if I'd want to drink a lot of it, but I don't really notice. I just started my third. I don't really notice the aftertaste anymore. It's still there. It's just not too bad. And I've kind of after a couple, it's kind of calmed down for me. My stomach has gotten, or my taste has gotten used to it, and I'm okay with it. It's pretty good taste, and I got the flavor I started with without too much of an aftertaste.
I agree with that. I did notice as I was drinking my second one that it became a lot smoother drinking it compared to the first one. But just still the aftertaste gets me, and I do not personally enjoy the aftertaste of an IPA.
And if you like IPAs, definitely try this IPA. Definitely. I would recommend it to anybody that likes IPAs. If you don't like IPAs, it's a decent one. I don't know if it's the best one to start with, but it's decent. It's definitely decent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up episode 3 of Beer and Review. Obviously, we've said this a few times, but just to reiterate, we tried Sierra Nevada Torpedo Extra IPA. An IPA that's pretty decent. Has a unique history, a unique style to it. Not our favorite beer ever, but it's for an IPA, it's actually pretty good. Trent's favorite IPA, Trent Mavio. My
Yep.
not favorite, but better than most, especially like you just mentioned, better than most mass-produced IPAs. It's pretty decent. It's not the best, but it's not too bad. Um, and that's our thoughts on this. As always, remember, drink responsibly. If you want to try this beer, go ahead and try it. If you don't like it, try something else. There's so many different beers out there. There's tons of things you can try. You'll find something you like. I guarantee it. All right, Trent, that's our thoughts for this. If you liked the
All right.
episode and you have any suggestions you'd like a beer for us to try, leave it in the comments below and we'll see what we can do. Trent, until next time,
So,
cheers.
cheers.